Welcome back to episode 2 of Two Top Furs Terraforming Politics. Yes, that's what we decided on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
second episode is going to be about climate change, and Tis here is going to be the one to lead this talk. So, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to do this in a very compact way where I try to get the key points across with less of an emphasis on every little detail. But basically I have been studying like climate change for a very long time, for about 10 years actually. And my sources are directly IPCC reports and peer-reviewed papers and so on. So I've really been looking for the highest quality evidence, and I want to try to distill that to something really simple, like something that we can kind of take in the day-to-day world. And I think the reason why we should care, even if you don't really care about the environment, right, is we've reached a point now where being environmentally friendly is actually cheaper in most cases. And that's why the first thing I want to talk about is reducing needless waste, right? Like, well, I have always been obsessed with efficiency in general, in being as efficient as possible. And now that we have gone through the 2022 energy crisis, and we're currently in an energy crisis now because of Iran, I think it's even more relevant. And it's just another wake up call that we really need to be more efficient. We really should be having better insulation in our homes because you add it in, it's pretty cheap, and you just get basically free money after you've paid off after the savings paid for themselves. It's a no-brainer to do something like that. I did that with my dad's house, for example, and it was amazing. We're saving 30 to 40%. Admittedly, the UK has pretty much the worst insulation in Europe, so it wasn't very hard to get that much out of it. But it just shows how much can be saved by spending $1,000, $2,000 on that. And the same thing happens for our transportation needs as well. Um, do you want to comment on anything?
I agree that, we I am really fucking brain dead today. Ugh. Normally I'm the chatty one, but today I'm a bit unchatty. I think that the world
Yeah,
needs a
admittedly,
lot of change when it comes to efficiency. I think one of the first things, obviously, in-home use and changes are important. But there's going to be a lot of changes coming soon. I'm
yeah,
hoping to see
but I
more.
think, mhm, yeah,
Go ahead.
okay. I
I
should let you
I
say.
am I am very brain dead today.
So here's the thing, right? Basically, I have the reason why efficiency is important is because it's the cheapest way we can kind of essentially save money and simultaneously reduce pollution. And that's
And we
fantastic
all want to
for
live in a
us.
world that looks like this. Not
Yeah.
some
Actually,
hellhole
yeah,
scape
we
of
want to keep the
nonsense.
world looking like this because
Yes.
let's be honest here, right now, we are definitely nowhere near 1.5 degrees. Keeping it to that level, there's no way. Pretty much scientists have kind of agreed that it's
Excuse me.
basically impossible now. And if we continue more or less the kind of mid-range scenario that's not too pessimistic is 3 degrees of warming. And people might be thinking, well, that's 3 degrees. I'll just crank up my AC or whatever. But 3 degrees is insane. That is literally destroying like all of
Tons of
Brazil. All of Brazil
ecosystems.
would become a desert with that. Europe would no longer be hospitable. Most of Europe would have multiple days at 50 degrees Celsius or 120 Fahrenheit. And those are temperatures
Yikes.
that you would literally die. You would
Yeah,
actually be at risk of dying,
I think I've been
right?
outside before and it was like 114 and I was like, oh, like I couldn't wait to be back in
Yeah.
the air conditioning. Like 114 is rough,
Yeah.
and that's like the
Yeah.
highest I've
And
ever
it
seen.
creates, yeah, and it creates it means that what would be a nice environment for us humans, it becomes literally like hazardous. Like, and it's so much worse than cold because with cold you can always just add more layers, and you don't need a lot of infrastructure. You just need like a bunch of coats and stuff. But with the heat, you're kind of screwed, right? Like, if you don't have infrastructure, if you don't have electricity, if you don't have this, you're done. Like, you have a power outage, you're like at that point you are counting, like you are like thinking, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? And I'm not exaggerating that regard. Like, it really is that bad.
Definitely a good time to have
Um,
insulation or live underground. It's a good time to be a mole.
yeah, like yeah, I mean that can be considered. I mean, insulation is actually quite effective as well. Like, it's very counterintuitive, but like it literally keeps the heat out, so your AC needs to work less hard. So it's another way of saving a lot of money and helping the environment at the same time. But like another thing that I want to discuss as well about needless waste is we really, really need to reject design to fail garbage.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
and
Everything
this
breaks so
and this
fast.
and
Like
this may
even
not
my
seem
phone, I
related,
gotta
but like,
hold on. I want to talk about my phone real quick. So I buy cheap phones, granted, but like you get them and then they're fantastic for like, you know, maybe a month or 2 months or whatever, and they start getting slow. And like my camera is like when I first got it, fantastic pictures. Now it's a piece of garbage. Like the pictures I take feel like they're coming off of some like ancient Nokia, and like it's not like it has bad specs. It was a cheap phone, but like it's like the quality control is just absolutely horrendous, and like the
yeah.
way that things
And
just
what
break
we know,
quickly, and that's just phones.
hmm
Like it's everything.
yeah, yeah, everything. And I think like on the topic of climate change, the reason why I like talking about appliances, it sounds kind of boring, right? Is because it is one of the things where you can change that next time one of your appliances breaks, right? Like, you really should go for quality. I remember I was in a store in the UK once, and they had like this washing machine for 250 pounds. That's like $300, and it had a 1 year warranty. And then this other one was 350 pounds, and it had a 10 year, right? Like, I don't, like, I seriously, if you don't have 100 extra pounds or bucks or whatever,
You can't get the
save up
nicer
longer.
thing. You or
Because
in a lot
like,
of cases they just don't
if
get the nicer thing
yeah,
because people are more worried
yeah,
about
I
what they
know.
can get
If
right now.
Yeah, but it's not about niceness. If you buy, like, seriously, it's basic math. Like, if we assume that crappy washing machine is going to last 2.5 years, optimistically, that's four of them in 10 years. That's 1,000 pounds, plus the fact that it's less, energy efficient. So, like, it's like 4 times more expensive. If you don't think you can afford those extra $100 now, wait until you're in the shit with like the design to fail garbage, right? And this is not only making us, you know, like
We also
actually
want to avoid
impoverishing
overpriced
us.
things too. Like,
Yeah,
take into
of
consideration
course.
like a $300 phone versus, the flagship iPhone for $1,200 versus a $300,
Yeah.
relatively okay phone from like two
Mm,
years ago or whatever. You're going to replace the
yeah.
phone at the same intervals, but over the course of 10 years, let's say you have three phones, that's,
Yeah.
$3,600 or so
That's another
versus
thing.
900. So like you're
Uh,
saving yourself another the thousands of dollars over the course of your lifetime
mhm.
for just buying slightly cheaper things, which some people want to do, some people don't. But either way, they're all still planned obsolescence. But
Mhm.
I think the
Yeah.
biggest issue that we wanted to talk about today was the burning
The
of
climate change.
stuff to
Yeah.
the
This is the thing.
clouds,
Like, so,
the beautiful
uh-huh.
clouds.
Like, so now that we're kind of
It'll
concluded
turn
here,
dark.
I just want to I just want to finish up on the that last point, and then we'll move on to the
Okay.
the burning stuff thing. Here's the thing, right? Like, from a climate change perspective, manufacturing that washing machine with a 10 year warranty is better. It's more energy efficient. And think about it, like, instead of having to ship four washing machines and discard four washing machines, you're discarding one of them in 10 years, right? Let's just say it breaks after 10 years. That's fine. Okay, that's good enough, especially for the price. Like, that is objectively better for the environment, like, and that is reducing needless waste, right? And same thing happens for modularity as a whole. Okay, next topic is burning stuff. Now, when I say that, people might be
I
thinking
love
about, I don't
blowing
know,
shit up.
some. Yeah, like they might be
Sorry.
thinking about someone setting cardboard fire in their
Or
backyard,
like a
and I'm
big
like, not,
bonfire and just like, you know, you
bro.
gotta get that whole, like, you know, that red can that's like
Yeah,
the fire quick start or whatever, and you just you put that all
yeah.
over everything, you
And
get a
to be
match,
honest, like,
you burn the
I'm
tree
not
at the
really
top,
talking
you
about,
know, you kill half the tree and you're like, oh, it's fine. Anyway, sorry, I just had to do a little quick
bro. I'm
interjection.
not really talking about that because in the grand scheme of things, bonfires or whatever, they have like almost no effect on pollution. It doesn't really matter that much. What does matter though is us burning fuels in order to heat our homes and burning fuels to power our cars and then burning fuels for like everything. Like seriously, like it's something that I've been looking at the data, and about 80% of all pollution, right, like we produce, is burning stuff to produce electricity or to power our cars directly, right? So there's that kind of counterintuitive nature. Well, so you want to make stuff electric, but don't we burn stuff to produce electricity? And that is true. But the difference is that we are like, look at European countries; they're moving away from it rapidly. Like, freaking Germany is like 60% renewables now. Denmark is like 60% too,
China
and
as
many of
well.
these countries, yeah, China is insane. Like they have literally doubled their power production in the last few years. They can produce 10 terawatt hours. That's like trillion watts.
That's
Like
crazy.
the human mind can't even visualize that.
I can't
So the
imagine
point
that.
is like it's crazy how much they've been building and that kind of stuff, and that's objectively better for the environment because things like solar, they produce like 96% less pollution, wind 99% less pollution, and by the way, controversial, but nuclear 99% less pollution too. So nuclear
Yes.
is in fact
I'm
yes.
100% pro nuclear energy. 100%. One quick little
Hmm.
like side jut off of the main conversation. Well, I mean, I guess this isn't too much of a side jut, but like talking about like how much we need to burn fuels and how much we need to, you know, just to like exist every day, power wise, and like obviously, you know, burning fuels and like travel. I feel like once we move past this stage in capitalism where we're moving from, you know, everyone has to do these jobs to, you know, more worried about like, you know, future proofing society and worrying about sustainability, we will be like the amount of jobs that currently exist for just to keep the capitalist society going don't need to be there. And I feel like that just that being there alone will drop the amount of
Hmm.
like drivers and people traveling all the time. I don't
Yeah.
think people are going to need to do that very soon. That
Like
transitionary period is going to be a
I
little
can
rough,
kind of
but
see that. I mean, I can kind of see that, but I feel like that like that stuff is more long term, it's not stuff we can do now. And also there is a bit of like a counter debate to that. Like I remember I one of my previous roommates, he drove for a company that's owned by like Uber Eats and stuff.
mm,
And like that makes you think you might be saying, "Oh, look, I work from home now." And then but then this guy has to drive around in his little car all over the place, get food delivered and stuff, and deliver like items and even groceries actually,
I mean,
and
they
that
have little
stuff like
robots for that now. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've seen those little
yeah,
robots that like get in the way or like fall over. I saw one fall into a storm drain. That was the funniest thing ever.
yeah. Admittedly, robots aren't very good at that yet, but
Yet
like
soon.
that's another thing about about climate change to me. It's like it's very inefficient what they do because if I were to buy groceries from like a supermarket, they would show up in like a big van, and that van probably like showed up at like 50 people's houses or whatever, right? So it's a much more efficient use of fuel. But like if people are going to like order stuff on DoorDash and they're going to have 50 car trips, and then the guy has like just one meal in his car, it's very
It
inefficient.
is
Like they're
incredibly
moving so much.
inefficient.
Yeah,
And I
it's
mean,
so
like,
much metal they're moving. You know.
I've delivered food before, and it is incredibly inefficient. And it's little things like that, but I think that's an issue of convenience because like a lot of the places do, you know, like you have UPS or FedEx shipping large packages in large amounts, and they all go all over, and you know they use like one tank of gas or whatever, and then they go back to the facility. I think a lot of, you know, sacrifices on people's sides to start worrying more about the sustainability and how much things are just a waste. Like, we need to stop wasting things. That's one of the biggest things that
Yeah.
I've seen. So stop burning things and stop
Mm-hmm.
wasting. Like, a lot of the things, like, I
Yeah.
stopped ordering DoorDash, like, I don't know, 2 months ago or so. And honestly, like, I've been happier that I am not, spending $20
Mm-hmm.
a shot for one. First off, don't have the money for
Yeah.
it. But,
Honestly, like from a cost
it's fun
perspective,
to
like
cook
I
too.
always just think about it. It's like it's not just about pollution. It's like I know in America, you can't get a lettuce for like 99 cents, at least as far as I know,
No.
right? So it's like you
I
guys
mean,
are like screwed
maybe
over
you can
there.
get like a thing of
Um,
romaine, but you have to buy it in a 3-pack to get that. And whenever I buy the 3-pack of romaine lettuce, guaranteed I have had one of those, and the other two go bad before I even have a chance to get at it. That's just the way it
oh yeah,
goes. I don't eat that much
because
salad. I should eat more salad,
I
but
don't know. The way it is over here, you can go to like a German cheap supermarket like Asda or Lidl or whatever, and it's like 99 euro cents. It's like so freaking cheap, and then it's like this lettuce, and it weighs about like 700 grams or like 1.5 pounds. And knowing me, I want to eat the thing like an apple and have the entire thing
that's
like a weirdo
gross.
and have
Yeah, you that's a little weird. I've never heard
the
of
thought.
anyone being like, lettuce. Do you like the round one, or are you a romaine person? Is it iceberg that you're eating?
No, I'm
Like
like,
like the big round thing?
it's the iceberg lettuce, yes.
There's like no nutritional value in that. It's just like fiber and water. Like,
That's the point, okay? I
oh,
need the
okay.
fiber.
Like,
It's my
do you
main
at least
fiber
cut it
intake.
and like wash it, or do you just like take the whole thing and just start munching on it?
Nah,
Oh dear
yeah,
God. Well,
it's the whole
uh,
thing. Okay.
okay.
You don't
You
you
enjoy
don't need
your
to do that.
lettuce. I'm not judging you. I just, it should be washed. You're supposed to remove the bottom and wash it because like pesticides and pests
Bro,
and stuff and dirt.
it's
You're just
like
like, nah,
European
fam.
regulations.
Crunch.
It doesn't matter.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, in
Nothing.
America, 100% you need to wash that. Yeah.
So the thing about it, like, I don't really want to talk much about like the food stuff, and the main reason is because it is the most controversial of them all. Is talking about food and emissions,
Hmm.
and I don't think that that's like something you can really change. So
You really
I'm going to
think
continue
food's
on.
the biggest? I think that honestly, like the biggest power draws are like data centers and travel,
Uh,
honestly, and like housing needs. Outside of
yeah,
that, I
like I
mean,
would say,
air
it
conditioning.
it's about
Air
public.
conditioning's
It's
pretty high up
about
there.
yeah. We're not talking about energy usage, right? It's
Oh, okay.
about like people's
This is
like
why this is why
willingness
they're
to
in charge.
change and like people's like and they actually did a survey and like I think it was like ridiculous where they like asked people like, hey, would you be willing to become more efficient? And the people were like 50%, yeah, sure. And it's like, would you be willing to eat less meat? And 12% of people are like, no. Okay,
Absolutely
so it's
not.
like it
No,
was
no less
literally
beef. I
it
want
was
more
like
beef.
so
I haven't eaten
so
beef in a
that's why
while. Oh my
I
goodness,
don't
a
discuss
steak
it
would be
because
amazing.
it's like yeah. But when it comes to like electrification as well, like again, it blows my mind how much people spend on like fuel. Like I know like in Europe, like it's like $9 a gallon or whatever for gasoline, and cars are like very they get like 40 mpg or whatever, but it's still like ridiculous. Like my that particular friend that would deliver, he was spending like 600 euros, right? Like just on gasoline, right? It's like ridiculous.
Like to
That's
drive
like
to work?
no to do the deliveries, right? So like
Oh,
obviously that's like the typical like thing. That's another discussion about worker exploitation or whatever. But like that's a lot of money where if he was driving an electric car, he would be literally spending like 150, 100 euros. And that's because in Denmark, like to fill up a battery, like a Tesla for example, it costs like nothing. It's like 10 freaking cents a kilowatt hour and it's like 60 kilowatts. It's like it would literally cost him like $5 to fill it up and then he can drive like 300 miles on it. So it's just so stupidly cheap to drive electric, and in general, and that's why it makes sense from an economic perspective, but also there is the reliability, right? As long as people aren't buying like
but something
the
still has to
brands that
power these batteries. Like something still has to come from the grid,
yeah
which a lot of it's, you know, burning stuff.
yeah But that's fine. In Denmark, for example, like in most European countries, it's a lot less burning. Like right now, the grid is like 35% burning stuff. In Germany as well. And that is decreasing rapidly. And part of the reason is just because burning stuff is expensive. Just like how, burning fuel in a car is expensive, burning fuel in a power plant is expensive. Like coal costs like $200 a megawatt hour, where like solar is like 50. It's like, and it's
So
literally that simple. It's like,
in your perfect world, where where would you like to see the power come from? Like in perfect world, like where are we getting our power from?
okay, so the way it is, right? So wind and solar would be a large chunk of it. However, though, I would like to see more geothermal from, for example, the company Ever, because what makes them unique is that they, instead of showing up in a place that's like naturally quite warm underground, like New Zealand or like Iceland, they actually dig down like a really, really, really deep borehole, like one that goes down about 7 to 10 kilometers, and then they're able to produce steam that way.
Hmm.
So they actually built a power plant in Germany about 2 years ago, and it was successful, and that's really cool because that's producing power in a completely non-tectonically active place with like basically no like geothermal. At least they would not in the traditional geothermal power plant.
Okay.
And what's cool about these is that like they can be built pretty quickly, more quickly, and
But what's their
less
power output?
controversially. Okay. I will admit that one was only 20 megawatts, and that's like nothing.
Hmm.
But theoretically, there's no reason why they could be putting out multiple gigawatts. I mean, after all, like the amount of heat in Earth's surface, is like literally enough for billions of years. Like theoretically, the sun could blow up in like 4 billion years, and the Earth would still be hot inside. So, like, it is a lot of energy in there that we have access to. And what's cool about these kind of power plants is they're clean, but also they don't depend on the weather, right? They can just produce power 24/7, like power plants that burn stuff or like nuclear as well. So
Okay.
that is a pretty cool. And obviously, I do think that Germany should reopen the nuclear power plants because that was stupid.
What do most people use? Like, where does most of the power exist? I think it's mostly coming from computers.
Uh,
So if we lower the amount that we need from the
uh,
grid, I mean,
it's,
I'm thinking like
I mean, the thing
from a
is,
work side of
like,
things.
obviously, computers are important. And I remember that there was a period in my life where, according to my power meter, my computer was using about 60% of all the electricity in my household with my dad. So that is a pretty significant amount,
Right. So what
definitely.
I'm saying
However,
is like that can add up, and like a lot of that's going to be, that could also save businesses money. There's tons of things that could be significantly different on that front, but
yeah,
it's not about making money, and I think that's one of
yeah,
the things that people need to make the differentiator here is that it's not about making money; it's about making sure all of this stays long term.
yeah. Like I honestly, personally, I'm not very capitalistic. So
I'm
like
not
the
either.
reason why I have been talking about it as an it's cheaper to be green is because I'm being pragmatic. Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
like
absolutely. Being
I don't
pragmatic,
really
you
see.
we want to show that like we're thinking about everyone here. We're not taking sides. We're not trying to be like, oh, this is the best thing and this is the worst thing, and like we don't agree with these people and we don't agree with these people or whatever. Um, we are just trying to bring you pure, unadulterated fact. And sure, there's going to be some opinions in there, but the opinions are going to be based in that fact and not based off of anyone paying
Yeah.
us to say one thing or another. And that's really what we
Mhm.
got going on
And
here.
and that's the way it should always be,
Yes.
because like uh, we really need to have more truth in the world. Like actually, because I grew up really realizing that delusion and people not really knowing how reality works is really bad. Like people would really mess me up and harm me because they were believing in some flawed delusional belief. And that's why I believe that we need to know the truth. We need to realize that if we're going to be harming ourselves, right, our future civilization, then we need to know better, because I have this kind of faith in humanity in a way that
Know
like we're
better and
not
do
just,
better. Sorry.
yeah, like we are sentient beings, right? We have this amazing frontal lobe that allows us to think logically and resist our impulses, where all the animals, as far as we know, don't have that. So like I feel like the
Maybe dolphins.
logic is an
Dolphins are
inherent,
pretty cool.
maybe, right? But like I like
That's
to
why we're not
think
allowed
that
to talk to them. They're incredibly green
logic
friendly.
for the most part. Oh my god.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Uh, right, bro. I'm saying I'm pretty sure logic on our level is something only humans can do, because I think dolphins are like an 8 out of 10 in terms of intelligence, but like
I'll accept that.
humans, man,
I'll accept that. 8
we're
out of 10
OP, okay?
dolphins. Sorry,
We're,
continue.
humans are a 10 out of 10 on average, right? But obviously, some humans, I feel like that they, um, yeah, well, I'm not going to say anything.
I think we're running out of the time here. So you have any
Yeah.
finishing thoughts?
When it comes to burning less stuff, it doesn't mean that you need to pull, I don't know, $50,000 out of somewhere right now and get like an electric car. No, it means that like in the next 10 years, just look it up. Just like there's no commitment, there's no like need. Just look up using a heat pump instead of gas heating. You know, look up electric cars and see if it might work out for you. Like, and look it up objectively. Like, you know, like keep going. Don't just look at like a 5 minute video and make your decision. Like, keep going. Like 5 minute videos, you know, consistently until you feel like that you know the details and you know enough to make a good
Do
decision.
the research.
Because, like,
Become an informed. I don't want to say consumer, but an
yeah,
informed member of the planet. That's a good thing.
yeah,
That's a really good sentence right there. Become an
yeah.
informed member
I'm
of the
saying,
planet. That is fantastic. I love that. 10 out of 10. That's just sorry,
mm,
I'm tooting my own
I
horn
love,
there.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. We must become informed to help ourselves out in the short term and the long term, you know, and that will help us go down the path of burning, in, you know, stopping burning stuff, right? Because like you really would do that. Like seriously, like if you had solar on your house, you had an electric car, you had a heat pump, you have effectively stopped burning stuff. Right? So like this idea that like, oh, what is me doing stuff as an individual going to do? If you stop doing that, you are going to be setting
You are
positive
the
energy.
change.
Yeah, you are the change. And this is something that is so important to understand, right? It is so difficult to convince people that an abstract concept like an electric car is better. But if you have that car and you get your friends in it and you say, oh, I spent like, I don't know, $20 this month on electric, people would be like, what the fuck, man? I burned like $200 worth of gas. Like, what the hell? You know, like if people go there and you show them that, they're more likely to believe you and they're more likely to burn less stuff themselves, you know. So you become the kind of positive change without having to argue as much or at all. That I think is great.
Yeah, I would love for a world where people don't have to argue anymore, and that would be fantastic. People just like, oh, okay, this is a new empirical data. Okay, we'll use this, and things just
Yeah,
move
uh,
smoothly. That would be
yeah.
a lovely thing.
I mean, that would be a dream world, but unfortunately, this is going to be a bit controversial. We are kind of, you know, like we humans are sentient, but we have like a sentient brain slapped on top of an animal brain. So, like, unfortunately, most people make quite irrational decisions, and it would require some
Guilty.
ser- serious, like, global education that has been never seen before in human history to even put a dent in that. So, yeah, for now, just work with it. You know, like just, you know, instead of arguing, give people experiences that change their mind, you know?
All right, I think we'll end it there. Have a lovely afternoon, evening, and good night, and catch you on the flip side. Peace, and I mean it.
Yeah. Good night, everyone. Or whatever time it is.